I think one of the things that we as a Democratic Party and as the left have to start grappling with is that are we creating a party that can win against whatever the post-Trump Republican Party will be?
Right.
Because in the same way that like after Obama left between
Mm.
2012 and 2016, we learned the Obama coalition does not exist without Obama. It like took a
Right.
little longer to fall apart, but the Obama coalition does not exist without Obama. The Trump coalition does not exist without Trump.
You're right.
And we have to build a party that can sort of win over those folks who may have been there for him, but they're not there for what the Republicans are selling. And
Yep.
the Trump shtick does not work when it's not out of his mouth and it's not his brand.
Right.
So I think that is our task, is to really make sure we're creating a welcoming space, but also a big vision for what those folks, when they leave him.
That was the other thing I talked to Senate Dems about last week, and the DNC chair. I got to meet with Ken Martin. Was we have to give people something to vote for. This idea that we should always be courting like the other side to win their votes, or this like mythical center. I'm like, more people are not registered to vote than are, right? So why don't we give people something to vote for as opposed to trying to change somebody's mind and culture? That seems harder. What are we giving them to vote for? What do you think has been working?
Well, I will tell you what we observed from our candidates, and I think it's, I'll get to a final takeaway after I do, but one, affordable housing. Housing. In fact, the Yale Youth Poll just came out yesterday, and in particular, they have a question where they ask people to like stack rank the issues of most importance. Number one issue for everyone was affordability and cost of living. I actually think that's sort of code for housing. Number two was democracy. Great, love that. Number three for all ages was Medicare and Medicaid. But if you just look at people under the age of 35, the number three issue by a landslide was housing, especially for young people who are seeing the opportunity to buy a home be forever out of reach or feel like it's an impossible dream.
Right.
I just saw some research this morning. 75% of homes in the United States on the market are unaffordable, meaning they would cost more than 30% of someone's income. The housing market is unreachable right now. So housing. The second thing that we noticed from a ton of our red to blue flips in particular, transparency. People do not trust these institutions. They do not trust government. Local candidates who can really talk about how they want to bring people back into the process. They want to increase, whether it's modernization or input or, putting stuff online, like in some way giving people a sense that they understand what's happening, that they have transparency into government. 90% of our red to blue flips named that. The third thing that we had a lot of folks do is sort of flip Republican coded language on its head. So like students' rights, fiscal responsibility, talking about like responsible budgeting, but not from a place of grievance, not from a place of like, they have harmed you and we have to seek revenge. No, from like a place of we want solutions. We want policy that really speaks to the problems you care about. And I will say a challenge for 2026, and this is my like ultimate takeaway, is that members of Congress or people running for Congress aren't really going to be able to talk about things they can do. They can paint a vision. They can have, policies they want to do or pass or fight for. But while Trump is president, we're not going to get much. And even over the next 2 or 3 years, like the best we can hope for, and we should really hope for, is oversight and accountability. Like those motherfuckers are doing a lot of war crimes.
Yes.
We should hold them accountable for all the war crimes and then some. The state and local candidates, the people running for governor, for state ledge, for mayor, for city council, for Jeff running for
Jeff.
like they can talk about shit that really affects your quality of life. So I think our collective job as a community of people who care about this is to give those people as big of a megaphone as we can. And to make sure that those are the folks that, the normies, so to speak, are hearing from. Because those are the people that will be able to talk about the specifics that will make their lives better.
That is something that I hear from my audience all the time is, especially in response to, I feel like last week and the week before were a little tough for the establishment Democrats' missing message. When we talk about accountability, it doesn't help when Hakeem Jeffries comes out and says it was good for Trump to pardon Henry Cuellar, or when Jeffries says something or Schumer says something about how, well, if we get power again, we wouldn't necessarily be seeking trials and impeachments. I'm like, boys, listen, you cannot do that, okay? The public wants accountability before reconciliation. And because they are so focused on this idea of like, recruiting or winning back Republican votes or like courting this mythical center, they're like, well, we'll have reconciliation. We'll bring this country back together. And I'm like, let the public dream of trials and Nuremberg trials and public hangings or whatever it is that they want to dream of, right? And then once you get power, you can do what you think is most judicious. But to be stopping any sort of exploration of what true accountability will look like for the egregious actions that we are witnessing right now, I think is it just boom takes the wind right out of your sails.